dive into the presentation, I did just want to set some context for this November 3rd election, right? That's the kind of hot election that we're all talking about, this November 3rd election, which is considered a general election. There are, in this election, the ballot will include a contest for the United States president, right? It's going to be contests for Congress, state legislative offices such as the Senate and Assembly, and various other local offices, right? So when we talk about, state issues or state offices, well, there's also local offices. So for example, I am from the city of Covina, right? And I already driving through my neighborhood, I see a lot of, vote for this school board member. Those are what we mean by local contests that are happening. But then we're also looking at, national things that are happening, like the presidency, which is a pretty hot topic right now. And so, we just want to make sure that you're informed and you have everything, all the resources that you need in your fingertips on how to tackle this, right? And how to make sense of it. Because, again, it can get overwhelming, especially with everything else that's going on in our lives, right? The other thing that I wanted to mention before we kind of dive into the presentation is as a voter, you're entitled to rights as a voter. They're known as the Bill of Rights, right? And I'm not gonna go through all of them, but I do encourage you that when you do get your information in the mail, that you review them so you understand what you're entitled to, right? These are rights that protect you as a citizen to vote and to execute your vote. So to exercise your vote, sorry. So you are eligible to vote here in the United States if you are a United States citizen living in California. So again, we're bringing it back to California, right, as residents of California, that you're at least 18 years old. The third is that you registered where you currently live. So again, that you're registered, and that's what we're going to be doing today. So you being here, we're going to take care of that piece of registering you to vote, because that can be very confusing and overwhelming. Like, where do I go? What do I do? And how do I register? And that's what today is going to be really focused on. Continuing with the Bill of Rights for voters is that you're not currently in state or federal prison or on parole for the conviction of a felony. That's also something as part of the Bill of Rights. And then the last one is that you're not currently found mentally incompetent to vote by a court. So, just understand. And then again, the list, there are 10 different items under the Bill of Rights. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but I did want you to know that these were created for you to exercise the right to vote. Okay. So go on to the next one, please. So what we wanted to go ahead and do, we highlighted here some key milestone moments in our history in the United States of access to vote, right? When we talk about voting, sometimes we take it for granted, right? That we can have, especially, I went through the list of the items of how you can vote or the Bill of Rights, but sometimes we take it for granted in terms of the access just to have a vote, just to put in your vote. So just to highlight a couple of, milestones, I would say that happened within our history was 1776. Only people who had land could vote, okay? And this was back in 1700s, where only 6% of the population had, owned land, and they were making the calls for, for folks at that time, right? So then in 1870, African Americans gained the right to vote. We move on to 1920. Women gained the right to vote, and again, just thinking about they started obviously trying to expand access and who gets to vote and who doesn't get to vote. Right. In 1947, Native Americans gained the right to vote. In 1971, the age from 21 to they lowered it down from 21 to 18 to vote. So and as we leave this up here, I want us to kind of also reflect that in the background, especially during the 1960s, and I know we all, especially in our history classes, we learn about the 60s of being some turbulent times, right? Probably very similar to what's happening right now. But there were some very turbulent times, and that brought about what's called the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So yes, go back to not yet. As folks are getting access to vote and getting the power to vote, the civil rights that happened in 1964, it was a very important legislation because it ended segregation in public places and banned employment and discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex. And so again, this was all done through the the protesting and the demands really of groups of individuals that risked their lives, literally put their lives on the line to execute this fairness of the access to vote and access to be seen under as the same. So keep in mind that there would have been no victories without any painful losses, right? And we have endured in our history. And I highly encourage you to take a History 40 class to really gain and understand, the details of that. But I just wanted you to highlight and paint some milestones. Now, keep in mind that in 1965, after the 1964 Civil Rights Act, in 1965, that was a very landmark decision, and it was a good piece of legislation as well because it prohibited racial discrimination. So yeah, you can say, well, African Americans had the right to vote since 1870, but there was a lot of barriers that were put in place purposefully to suppress them to vote, right? And so in 1965, the United States federal government signed into law, so they made it a law, Lyndon B. Johnson, to provide civil rights specifically to our African American individuals. So go on to the next slide. So now the reason that TRIO, right? TRIO is kind of the umbrella term that's used for what we know on our campus as ACES program, as Upward Bound program, right? But it really it came after, it was like the after effect of the civil rights movement, right? Because Upward Bound came about in 1964, then it was Talent Search in 1965, and then Student Support Services, which is ACES program, we came about in 1968. And again, this was signed into law. It was part of the Economic Opportunity Act of 1964. So, within TRIO, we are very tied in with the law, literally. But we depend every year. We in the ACES program receive funding from associated students to go out and advocate on behalf of TRIO programs. And TRIO programs are a set of federally funded college opportunity programs that motivate and support students. And more than 800,000. So this is a national program, right, in the United States. More than 800,000 low-income, first-generation students with disability can participate in this pipeline of programs now. It started off with 3 programs back in the 60s, TRIO. Upward Bound worked with high school students. Talent Search worked with junior high, middle school students. Student Support Services, which is what we are, ACES, we work with the 2-year college students and at the 4-year college students. So more than 1,000 colleges and universities have a TRIO program, including obviously in the United States, but also the Caribbean, Guam, Pacific Islands. So there are, there's I think 3,000 total programs within the United States. So we are, we were part of, the TRIO program was part of that legislation, and it was part of this war on poverty that was happening, in the background, as you can see with that I shared previously. So, that's why we in the TRIO program, we always feel it's very important to really highlight that point of why is TRIO so, why are we so involved with this voting initiative, right? Why the importance of voting, and it's because we literally depend on it and depend on the funding. And so whoever is in power, meaning whoever is the president, they will bring out their budget of this is what I think the budget should be, and then the congressional members vote on it if they accept the budget or not. So every year we have had the privilege, thanks to Associated Students, to take a group of students from Mount SAC to share their voice and say, this is how it's been important to me. So next up, I'm going to pass it on to Victor to share a little bit about the importance of voting.
Thank you, Diana. So I am not going to read the slide. I'll let you all kind of read it at your own pace. But what I did want to talk about was the importance of voting. And as Diana alluded to, our program, ACES, is directly tied to voting, right? Who we vote for and who we don't vote for decides whether our program gets money, right? So and to be quite honest with you, it's not just our program. It affects the rest of your everyday life. It depends on how much we're taxed. It depends on the kind of healthcare that we receive, right? Which is another hot button topic right now. It affects our environment. For example, whether you believe in climate change or don't believe in climate change, the folks that we elect into office, right? For example, I know Governor Newsom kind of proposed recently that by 2025 we wanted zero emission cars in California, right? So kind of pretty progressive. But the people we elect, right, the things we choose to vote for are the things that are going to happen not just to us, but to our future families. Diana also alluded to this, right? The struggles that our ancestors and family members have fought and suffered to get the right to vote, right? So a lot of our generations before us have endured a lot, whether it's persecution, but have fought for us to have this right. And I would encourage all of you to use it, to have your voice heard. It's part of I believe it's part of our civic duty, along with obviously kind of serving on jury duty. I know none of us like that, but yes. So it's super important. I can't stress to you how much what you do and who you vote for matters. Thank you.
Hi everyone. So I have a question. Who likes money? You can do a reaction or clap or something. So one thing, aside from voting, another way you can get engaged is becoming a poll worker. And becoming a poll worker is actually a lot more easier than it might sound or someone might think. All you have to do is be either a U.S. resident or a legal permanent resident in order to apply. And then from there, you do one basic training, and the training is a 2-hour training, and then a poll day. You just set up the polls. Sorry, you set up the polls. You learn about your voter rights, how to properly dispose of a spoiled ballot, how to help voters register that day. It's possible. And like I said, who enjoys money? You get a $140 stipend in the LA County. It does vary from county, so if you're in the San Bernardino County, it can be different. If you're also in the Riverside County, it all varies. I think one thing to share is that I was a poll worker in high school. As long as you're 16, you can also be a poll worker. So share this with your cousins, your siblings, your neighbor, if you know that they qualify for it. So this is just a great opportunity to not also get a little extra income, but also if you're transferring, this is something you can also put on your application. There's so many benefits of becoming a poll worker. This is something that I still put on my resume here and there. I highly encourage people to come out, especially if you're young, because there's not a lot of young poll workers out there. I think I was the only one in my location that was under 20. So this is just something great. I know a lot of you I think I've seen some of our summer babies in here. A lot of you wanted to find ways to volunteer and get involved. Here's your chance. So we'll drop the link later on in the workshop, and apply. It's a rewarding experience.
One thing I would like to add to that, thank you, Precious, for sharing your personal experience. One thing I do want to add to becoming a poll worker is that's great that you can get paid, right? But the reason that we're really emphasizing this is to get you money. Okay, you're welcome. But also because I think historically, poll workers tend to be older folks, right? Maybe over 50 in their 60s, right? At least here in my community, I can speak on, specifically here in my city of Covina. Whenever I would go vote, pre-COVID, I would go in, and there's a lot of older people, right? Much older. And with COVID happening right now, the most vulnerable to that need to stay home and not be out are the older folks, right? So I think with even more urgency, I think this is really needed right now. So it's kind of a win-win, right? We help out our elderly because they're always looking out for us, right? Obviously, being poll workers, at every election, but also, you will get that extra money. So I just wanted to add that piece is that, this is a role that our elderly have taken on for, historical in the past in other elections. So something to keep in mind. But we will be sharing all the links and all that, so then that way you can put it on your, on your laptops, and then share it with your community members and friends.
So again, if you are maybe not able to become a poll worker, what you can do is start by getting registered to vote. So we do have, well, there is not we, we have a deadline of October 19th, which is 15 days before election day, where you can register and then definitely, again, register to vote. It doesn't take long. I've already registered. A lot of our ACES family has already registered to vote. It doesn't take that much time. What you do need to have when you are registering to vote is your California driver license or identification card, because they will ask the number, and then they will ask you for your 4 last digits of your social security number and your date of birth. So again, it's very simple. And then later on throughout the presentation, we will be dropping down a link so that you can go ahead and register to vote. And actually, if you see our little, this way, our little barcodes right here, if you scan it with your phone, you are able to also get easy access to register to vote, and you will be able to get the scan code later on, okay? So don't feel like you have to zoom in right now. But you will be able to have access to it later on. So one, just to promote that right now for you to register to vote.
All right, everyone. So one of the things that is really going to help you after you register is making a plan. It's incredibly important now, especially because we are in the middle of a pandemic. So I highly, highly encourage all of you to make your plan now. Like, start early. One tool that I like to use is lavote.net. They do harass me with emails and reminders, which I totally appreciate, but they also help you right now with learning everything that is particular to your area, okay? So one of the things is, as of this Monday, if you are registered to vote, you will be receiving your mail-in ballot. That's definitely something that Governor Newsom, through an executive order, has pushed for. So that means if you are registered already, you're going to get a lot of information in the mail. You're going to get a lot of stuff, and you're going to feel overwhelmed because there's going to be propositions, there's bills, there's going to be names, there's going to be local board, commissioners, all kinds of stuff that is particular to your area. So you need to plan early. I can't tell you, I've been guilty of this, and I don't want to admit, showing up, to the polls, not knowing half the things, and I'm sitting there going, ooh, I like her name, but I don't know about this person. You don't want to be an uninformed voter and just sit there, eeny, meeny, miny, figuring out who you're going to vote for. So I've been doing this for, a while. I've been voting for a while. So one of the things that I really want you all to do is take a look at everything from, obviously, that we have a presidential election, but all the way down to your local representatives, to the local propositions that directly impact you and the streets that you live on. Mm-hmm. So number 2, start your research. And I do mean your research, and I don't mean, watching YouTube videos and ads, okay? So one of the biggest things that's been frustrating for me that I've learned is you need to be a critical voter. You need to understand the pro and the con sides of every single issue, because I can't tell you how many times I will see this amazing, ad, this video that gets me, yes, no on that, that's horrible, oh my God. And then I will see the other side. I was like, never mind, I need to say yes to this. And the reason for that is there's a lot of money that goes towards these things. So one of the things that I suggest is read the sites that are for and against. Look at the agenda, right? Who is funding these ballots. It takes a lot of money sometimes to put things on, for a vote. So be critical, understand that, everybody has an agenda, right? And so figure out if this matches with what you want for your community and for your state. Also, there's a lot of stuff. Make time. Avoid the lines. We're in the middle of a pandemic. You don't need to. You live in California and you have the privilege to return your mail, literally by dropping it off at the mail station. You can also drop it off at over 400 in Los Angeles drop boxes, okay, that are not to be confused with your vote center, okay? So not only can you drop it off at a drop box, you can drop it off at the mail. You can also drop it off at your vote center. Or if you want to be old school and take that risk and you want to just be there, know that the vote center is open 10 days before Election Day. So you literally don't need to show up November 3rd and wait in line if you don't want to. And let's be real, we really shouldn't have to. So vote early, plan ahead. And the last thing, so all of you are college students, and even as, college educated folks, let me tell you, some of this wording, some of these propositions are very difficult to understand. And when you get your ballot, you're going to get like a little packet that's going to be very neutral, frustratingly neutral, to the point where you're like, well, I don't know if I'm for this or I'm against this. I don't know. So in that little packet, you're going to be able to actually mark every single thing that you're going to end up going to. So if you decide that maybe this is your first election and you want to just wear your beautiful mask and you want to wait in line because it's important, go for it. Take that with you. Another suggestion, something that I do, I have a group text with 20 people. So once I have and we all know we have family members, right, that you're going to assist. You're going to help them, all right? You're not going to vote for them, but you're going to help them. And guess what? You're going to take snapshots of your voting guide, because that's what this little packet is. Also, if you go to lavote.net, you can also print out a voting guide so that you know everybody that you're going to vote for, every proposition that you're going to vote for, and guess what? You can easily share that, because we all know not everyone has the time, the luxury, or the privilege to really understand these issues in depth. And I can't tell you, my friends, literally, we have a group text saying, tell me what y'all voted for because I don't want to deal with this. And I said, well, I will gladly send you what I'm voting for, and this is why. So share it with your friends, help them vote, and I can guarantee you vote early and get that plan. And like I said, screenshot it, post it on Facebook, Instagram. Like I said, people will be very grateful for that. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Giovanni Rodriguez. I am coordinator for student activities at Mount SAC, and one of my roles is I help advise associated students. And this year, associated students decided to join in this initiative. So Alex Padilla is the California Secretary of State for California, and decided to do an inaugural competition between college campuses. So UCs, Cal State universities, and California community colleges are within this competition. It's the first year, so I think right now it's bragging rights, but I don't know what's going to happen if we win. But the point being is that the lowest turnout for voters are college age demographic. Imagine if all of us, or all the people who are in college, decided to vote. Right, and that is super important. The world, our nation would look so different, and that in turn will make the world look very different, right? So if every single college-age person voted, it would outnumber the older demographics. And who goes to vote? Older individuals. And so we want to make sure that our voices are heard. And so we joined this initiative called Ballot Bowl. And Ballot Bowl is a link that is provided to us, our college campus enrolled in this competition. And so we'll share that link with you. But please share that with all your friends and families. Promote registering a vote, because you got to register to vote first before we actually vote. And the deadline to register to vote online before the elections is October 19th. So make sure you register to vote before then. This link, it's a little different because it contains one more question in the registering or re-registering a vote. And it says, which college are you representing for the Ballot Bowl? Make sure you choose Mount SAC, right? And what's really cool is that Mount SAC actually joined this a little late in the game, but we're still in third place with community colleges. And so that's like super cool, right? And so we want to make sure we continue this healthy competition. We can also include a kind of toolkit on how to help us with Ballot Bowl, and that contains pictures, blurbs, links, and it's this PDF that you can just download all the stuff to help you with Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, however you want to spread the word, do it. And if you can't vote, promote, right? And so that's all we're asking. We recognize not everyone can vote, but if you are very passionate about certain props or certain initiatives, make sure to educate others. And it's so sad when someone's like, oh, I have the power to vote, but I don't really want to vote. And so make sure we instill the responsibility to show up at the polls. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gio, for sharing that information. And keep in mind that, you know, as we have this cool backdrop that I'm like we're really digging right now, this right here, the barcode, if you actually get your phone and you have that QR code and you put it against it, it will take you to that Ballot Bowl link. And that's so just keep that in mind. We just didn't have this random like barcode here just chilling. So keep in mind that you could, you know, scan it from your phone. But we will be doing this as a group together towards the tail end of this presentation. Is we're going to register together. That way we can show you that, you know, how easy it is to do. So next slide, please. And then keep in mind, we are third out of 114 community colleges. I'm just saying, right? That's how many community colleges there are. And we're third so far. So that's pretty impressive. So let's keep it going. So now we wanted to take some time to introduce Congressman Gil Cisneros, and he serves as the congressional representative for the 39th district. And this is a representative that he became the congressional rep in 2018. And prior to him taking on this seat, there was a 13-term incumbent, Ed Royce, who was a Republican. And so every year, remember how I shared at the beginning how TRIO is so like connected with voting and congressional representatives? Well, every year we would always meet with Ed Royce, asking him, do you support TRIO funding? And he would say, no, not Congressman Gil, but his predecessor, which was Ed Royce. And it was something that we would always try to convince Ed Royce, the previous congressional member, to support TRIO, right? But we didn't quite see eye to eye. But Congressman Cisneros, who again he came into office in 2018, is a Democrat, and the districts that he includes that he oversees that are part of his district are some parts of LA, Orange, San Bernardino, and then it also includes the city of Fullerton, La Habra Heights, Brea, Buena Park, Anaheim Hills, Diamond Bar, Chino Hills, Hacienda Heights, and Rowland Heights. But the reason that we invited, we wanted to have him provide a message of the importance of voting is because Mount SAC sits in his district. Mount SAC, Cal Poly Pomona, and Cal State Fullerton. We sit in the district. We are in the district of Congressman Gil Cisneros. And we're also very fortunate to have a representative here this afternoon to Erika Flores, who's also going to share a message. So I would like to turn it over now to Mr. Cisneros to play that video. Thank you.
Hi, Mount SAC. This is Congressman Gil Cisneros, and I represent California's 39th district. As you know, we have an election coming up this November. It's an opportunity for you to exercise your right, your civic duty to vote. This is one of the many ways where you can have a say about the direction of your community and the country. But that cannot happen if you do not vote, and you deserve to be heard. First, it's important that you register to vote. If you've already registered, check to make sure your information is accurate and updated. Then make a plan to vote, whether it's in person or by mail, and take note of key deadlines. In California, all registered voters will be sent a vote-by-mail ballot for the election. With this pandemic, your health and safety is our number one priority. Once you've already made your plan to vote, tell 5 family members and friends to do the same. Elections affect everything from school funding to workers' rights to public health. While there is a presidential election going on, every seat and proposition on the ballot is important. School board, county supervisor, federal representation, and so many others. Read up on all the candidates and propositions and make an informed decision. Take care, stay safe, and vote in November. Thank you and goodbye.
And then next up, if we can have Erika Flores go ahead and introduce herself and then give us her take on the importance of voting.
Hi everyone again. I'm Erika Flores and I'm the senior field representative for the congressman, and I was really happy to see that he was able to record a message for you all. I know that it was important for him. He's actually on a plane coming back to California from DC this week, so I'm happy that we were able to get him to at least be virtually present with everyone today. But I just wanted to reiterate what he said about the importance of voting. I know that, working in a congressional office and still, I graduated undergrad about 4 years ago or so. So I think, kind of becoming an adult and a politically aware adult, you don't really think about all the different consequences and implications that it means to have the privilege to be able to vote. And you don't think about how even just the local elections matter. I think, especially in presidential years, you just think of like, okay, it's the next president, and like that's who I'm going to vote for. That's the most important one. But actually, you just learn that the ones that are really most important. I'm not saying that any are not important, but I'm saying that like the ones that actually end up implicating and kind of having more of an impact on your life are the local elections. If you have kids in schools in your local school district, the school district board members are the ones who actually dictate, the school start time for your kids. And, if you have to get to work by 8 a.m. and your kids start school at 8:30, that's a big impact on your life, and that's all determined by school board members. County elections are really important as well. All, from local to even the federal level, all of them are important, as the congressman mentioned. Unfortunately, I work for the congressman who is a big and active advocate for, school funding, for, a lot of the issues that are important to me. But I think that if you really care about, a certain issue or something that's impacting you, take the time to research, like everybody has mentioned. Diana mentioned, the TRIO program and how that's funded by Congress and the importance of that. A couple months ago, I was able to connect with Diana and Victor actually about the importance of TRIO and what that means for our district, and not just for Mount SAC, but all of the students that the community that it impacts and what the funding means. And that's all something that, because you guys in this district, because the congressman was elected, that's something that we can actively advocate for, and they're the ones that determine where the money goes. That's all paid for by our tax money that essentially all, trickle down and you guys are benefiting from. So please pay attention to who you're voting for and to where that funding is going to, because that matters. Money makes the world go round, and if there's anything that Congress is good at is making sure. I know there's a saying that things in government work slow, and yes, it's very complicated, and sometimes they do, but it's because it's intricate and it actually impacts all of us, and it's important. So please, do your research, stay up to date, and if you guys ever have any questions or need anything from our office, we do have internships available. We do, congressional letters of support as well for grants that any local nonprofits, schools, local government agencies are applying to. We also do those. And then right now, because it is also Hispanic Heritage Month, I'm going to do a quick plug. We are doing our Heroes Award as well for Hispanic Heritage Month. So if you have somebody in mind in your area that has made a big impact on you, please submit them at the website. I believe Diana, Victor, I can send you guys the link, but the deadline's 5 p.m. today. And we, if somebody, especially during this pandemic, if you know of anybody who's made a big impact, let us know, because that's one thing that the congressman also holds to high regard, is just awarding and highlighting those individuals who have made a high impact here in our local area. And so I'm gonna let you guys give it back over to Diana and the next speaker. But thank you for letting us be a part of this and for just speaking about the importance of voting and taking a part in your civic duty. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Erika. And again, thank you for being here and representing Congressman Cisneros. So next slide, please. So now is the moment we've been waiting for. So again, the goal for this workshop is really to get you to register, right? So right now, as I'm talking, Precious is posting this link into into the chat, and this is the link is what Giovanni was referring to, right? Where it's pretty much going to take you to the Secretary of State of California, right? That's why we have his logo at the bottom. His name's Alex Padilla, but it is tied to Ballot Bowl. So one of the extra questions it's going to ask you on this particular registration is, what college are you from? And then you select Mount SAC. So at this time, if you can at least open up the link that Precious dropped in the chat, open it up, and just, take a look at it. There should be a button there that says, register to vote. And then that's where you would go ahead and go in there. Now, for example, I went through this 2 days ago when we were prepping for this presentation, and I've been registered to vote. I had already registered to vote. So there is an option on there that does say, to check your status, right? And then I was able to go through that, put in my name, my address, and the last 4 digits of my social security number, and everything came up. Now, the reason I share that is because some of us, I've talked to students, and some of us say, I don't know if I'm registered or not. That's fine. You can confirm on this link, okay? The other point, and it's alluding back to what Elizabeth mentioned earlier in the presentation, is, I too have a texting group where it's my siblings and my family, where we all share, who we're voting for, and try to inform them. But one of the questions that I'm asking my parents, for example, like, are you all registered to vote? And they say, I don't know if I'm registered or not. So I was able to look them up as well on this link last night and confirm that both my mom and my dad do have a mail-in ballot that's going to be mailed to their home. So again, you can use this link to register. Again, if you've never registered because you just turned 18, yay, we get to witness your registration, you registering today. But if you're not sure, or if you moved, or you just want to know the status, this is also the link, okay? So I want to just give you a chance to open it up, get familiar with it, and then I don't know if there's any questions. So I'm going to just go ahead and pause for a minute just to see if there's any questions
and I want to add
as you're pulling that up.
I want to add too that you're also able to take a picture of this, obviously, with your phone, and that way the barcode can also be used to share with your family members. If you're with them, they can just take a picture of the scan, and it'll actually allow them to go to the link. If they are not, like, they don't want to type out the whole link, it's fine. Just take a picture of this actual screen, and you can just say, hey, scan it, and then you can go ahead and register to vote. It's very easy. So that's another tool that you can use, or yourself, if you have an iPhone or Android smartphone, you're able to scan it and it'll send you directly to that to the Ballot Bowl that we're talking about. But I guess if you have any questions, feel free to ask them at the moment. I know Precious must have already dropped on the link for this.
Yes, she did.
Any questions, concerns?
And then in here too, because I know Giovanni also dropped the toolkit. You're also going to be able to find it on this link. So everything regarding how do you promote this to others, how do you promote this information on your social medias, you can copy and paste some of that information from this toolkit that's on this link. So the next link that we're going to drop in. So again, if you're not done registering, that's fine. Now you know what link, and save it, and how to share it with others. The next link that we're going to drop into the chat right now is going to be what we talked about earlier, what Precious alluded to about becoming a poll worker. And again, I really want to emphasize that this role, the poll worker role, has really been a role that elderly folks have taken on in the historical and past elections. So because they are the most vulnerable during this time due to COVID, we want to give them a break, right? Not to come out and not be poll workers, to take care of their health, our elderly. Therefore, we're asking you beautiful people here to help out, right? To help out. And the beautiful part about this is that you get paid for this help. So again, click on the link, share it, because again, I know the help is definitely needed right now, especially because our elderly folk are rightfully so staying home, right? So again, we drop that link there and open it up and save it, and then go ahead and follow up with that application as well. Now, the last link that we're dropping in the chat is going to be the civic engagement promotional pack. Yay! So that was one thing that we were like, okay, how do we get students to come and listen to us talk for an hour about voting and the importance of voting? So thank you to our associated students at Mount SAC for donating and providing us these promotional packs. So you're probably wondering what's in these promotional packs. So I'm going to turn it over to my good friend Gio to maybe just give us a rundown.